This podcast may contain adult themes.
This podcast is for entertainment purposes only.
The views and opinions in this podcast are expressly our own.
When I get to the workplace, I like to fuck shit up.
Honestly, every time I try to do something fun or exciting, you make it not that way.
Hey, are you tired of toxic workplaces and the negativity that comes with them?
We hear you, and we're here to shake things up. Welcome to Let's Break Up Toxic Workplace Stories, the podcast that's all about breaking up with workplace toxicity.
I'm Nicola, and I'm here with my co-host Gina. Together, we're going to explore real-life experiences of workplace toxicity and offer a sense of encouragement and unity.
That's right. We're tackling the tough topic of negativity in the workplace and turning it into a movement for positivity.
We'll be interviewing guests to share their experiences and offer practical solutions for dealing with workplace toxicity. Our aim is to promote solidarity and a sense of community amongst our listeners.
Let's Break Up is quickly becoming the go-to source for anyone looking to share and then ditch the drama and create a happier, healthier work environment.
So join us each week as we explore the various forms of toxicity in the workplace. Get ready to join the revolution against red flags and toxic workplaces.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell all your friends.
In this week's episode, anyway, hi Gareth. Gina, Gareth, Gina.
Hello.
Gina is my co-host. Gina, do you want to tell us maybe where you're from? Because I feel like that's an important piece of this puzzle.
Is it? As you might guess, I am from the United States by my accent.
Shock. Okay.
I know, very shocking. And yeah, so that's what we need to know about where I'm from.
Just the United States. There's no particular state.
I'm from Manhattan. So
okay.
New York City.
But currently based in Florida.
Ugh, I try to leave that part out.
And you know what's really funny is she's based in a town called Wellington.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's a big horse.
Lovely.
Very like equestrian. I had no idea when I was moving here from Manhattan, like what I was getting myself into, but it's like super rich, like Bruce Springsteen, Bon Jovi, like all these people have their second homes down here with all their or maybe their fourth or fifth homes, like with all their horses so that their daughters can do dressage, and it's very fancy.
Darling, that sounds lovely.
And you know, I'm in Wellington, like the real Wellington, the capital city, Wellington, and you're up in Auckland. Now,
and I'm in Auckland.
Now, how is Auckland doing?
Yeah, not bad. I think at the moment it's kind of the shift it went from Auckland to like Hawke's Bay, Napier, which is kind of our east coast, Gina, east coast of our North Island. And they got hit really, really hard by the cyclone Gabrielle that came through. I think we were prepared for the worst with Auckland because of what happened like 2 weeks prior. And then, Napier and Hawke's Bay really got hit hard with floods and just total devastation in there. So I know the family at Air New Zealand have been doing a lot of work with flights and cargo and things like that down there. So there's been a big response from our team, which, you know, the last week has just been a bit chaotic at Air New Zealand to try and help with that. So yeah, but Auckland I think is doing good today. It's blue sky day, so I'm enjoying those days. I've really tried to. Ever since then, it's not really rained too much, so I've been trying to get out in the morning and just see the sunrise and just, you know, really appreciate that. That maybe sounds a bit like, I don't know, hippie-ish, but I've just been trying to, you know, really embrace that in the mornings and not just sit and scroll on my phone, which has kind of been my go-to. You know, appreciate the summer.
Doom scrolling.
Kind of, yeah.
Well, I start my day 6 o'clock in the morning by going for like a 2-mile walk while listening to true crime podcasts.
I mean, that's also cool. It's not my forte,
I get to see the sunrise as well. But then I'm also learning about really sick and twisted individuals who are murdering people. It's my jam.
I don't. So, how does that become popular? I'm just intrigued. Is it just people love that
drama?
You know,
alter ego of potentially like, oh, that could happen. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know why I've always been into it. Like even when I was like a lot younger in my teens and stuff.
All right, so we've got Gareth is a rising leader in the field of health and safety leadership. He is known for his passion and dedication to ensuring safe work environments and promoting a strong safety culture. Gareth has already made significant impact in the industry through his innovative approaches and solutions. Gareth's background includes occupational health and safety, as well as a number of other certifications in related fields. He's worked in a variety of roles in health and safety field, including safety coordinator, consultant, and now a business partner. Gareth is highly motivated to make a positive difference in the lives of workers and their families, recognizing the importance of providing a safe and healthy workplace. He's a strong advocate for the development of effective safety policies, training programs, and communication strategies, and has demonstrated leadership in implementing these initiatives in various organizations. He is an active member of the safety community and also volunteers his expertise to various people and places. He is dynamic and an inspiring leader who is poised to continue making a significant impact in the field of health and safety for years to come.
Wow, I can see why you said I could use that as on the CV application.
Do you think it's accurate? For the most part?
I don't know if it's like a British thing or a Kiwi thing. It's hard to hear positive things about you. I don't know. It's just one of those things where you're like, oh God. So that's lovely. I think that's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Well, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah. Thank you. Hi everybody. Hi Gina. Hi Nicola.
Hello.
Kia ora, as we say
Kia
in
ora.
New Zealand.
So can you tell us in your own words, like what you're doing right now, what your career is looking like, anything like this?
Yeah. So I am in the health and safety world and well-being world, I guess I should say. So I've been in the health and safety arena for since 2017, and definitely over the last couple of years find myself doing more in the mental health and well-being space. So when this opportunity came up to speak to you about, kind of toxic workplaces, I was kind of like, oh, this would be really cool to really get down and dirty. That sounds weird, but yeah, just talk about it.
That's what she said.
Yeah, exactly. A big fan of The Office. Yes, come on. So, I mean, you guys were up there, might expect, everything, but you've just gone up. So that's awesome. It's good to have a fellow Office fans, and I'm hoping we just don't say that's what she said all the way through this.
No, we won't.
Maybe 50%.
Okay. So I found myself doing a little bit more in the mental health and well-being space. And it's something that I'm really interested in because I think it's a huge part of health and safety that's very much whispered about, in the sense that we talk about we're shouting loud about safety, but we kind of whisper the health part, and especially whispering that sort of psychosocial risk, that risk or hazards that impact your mental health. So the opportunity last sort of year came to move to New Zealand and more of the Wellbeing Business Partner role, and obviously there's a whole broad spectrum of well-being, but my focus at the airline is to really start to tackle those risks. And look, it's only growing, that area of health and safety. So I sort of took that opportunity and took the chance to go, well, I'm one of those people who likes to take a chance and just see where it goes. And if it's good, cool. If it doesn't work out, there'll be another opportunity. I'm sure about it. So I'm always taking a risk, I guess I could say, in that respect, and always looking for opportunities and where I can grow. So that's where I want to grow into and learn more. And I'm kind of studying a little bit at the moment in health and safety at the University of Wellington.
Wait, so can you give me like a concrete example of what you mentioned you're working for an airline in the like well-being area. Can you give me a concrete example of something that might come across your desk? Because I don't know if we have anything like that here in the States. Likely we don't, because we kind of are backwards in a lot of ways.
So at the moment, the airline, as probably most airlines are doing around the world at the moment, is recruiting so much. So I do a lot of work with training and giving people tools and tips of how to manage things when it comes to their mental well-being, their physical well-being, a lot on sleep, fatigue, that sort of thing. So that's kind of the training that I look towards. A typical day. Also, I speak to a lot of people around the business if they're struggling or want a bit of a kind of a well-being check-in, I guess we'd call it. So we sort of talk to people and they're like, hey, this is kind of going on. Is this right? Is this how I should be feeling? What are my support options that we've got? And we've got a heap of support options at the airline that we can point them towards. And look, it ranges from anybody dealing with bags through to our pilots, cabin crew. Like the thing at Air New Zealand where I'm working now is it's so broad from it's almost like you've got 8 companies in one kind of thing, and there's all different sort of backgrounds, cultural backgrounds that you've got to kind of consider and take into account. So it's it's not an easy one size fits all tick box kind of thing. So it's there's always those curveballs that come across your desk that you're just like, oh, okay, I'm probably not the best person for this. So it's about then trying to find that person to then help. I feel like a bit of a concierge in the sense that people come to you and you're like, okay, you need to go over there, or this is the support option for you. Tell me how that goes for you, kind of thing. If that makes sense.
Okay. So it's almost, I mean, I think what you're describing a little bit would be similar to like a good HR department in America, which I haven't met one yet, but I'll report back when I do.
Let me know. No, I think we overlap a lot, and that's kind of, and I've actually got a big sort of gathering of wellbeing people in New Zealand next week, where we sort of said that we need to come together and actually sort of see where we fit into New Zealand, into workplace, actually have some sort of cohort where we could come together and just ask questions, because usually there's one, maybe 2 of you if you're lucky in a workplace. So, but you have to cross over into your diversity, equity, inclusion space, your HR space, injury management space. Like there's so many. The Venn diagram is huge, kind of thing.
Yeah, right.
And then your safety team as well. So it links into so many things that you have to kind of be across a lot and understand a lot of processes as well. My health and safety background, it put me in good stead for that, but the HR space, I need to do some work in and around that to understand more about the law.
So you mentioned burnout. Do you want to talk a little bit about
how you kind of came to understanding burnout intimately?
I kind of mentioned it in the before thing. I don't know if this will be so people are like, I don't remember.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
No one knows if that part's
a psychic, Gina.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I at my previous workplace, obviously everybody kind of knows what went down in 2020, and COVID kind of hit, and I think for me,
just kind of hit. It kind of sort of happened.
Just a little bit of COVID.
Yeah. Oh, right. Oh, I'm with you now. Yeah, just a little bit of COVID.
Just kind of. Just kind of happened.
A smudge of COVID.
Nicola can kind of attest to this. It didn't happen for like years. We were kind of looking at the outside, going,
ooh.
I mean, looking at America and going, that's not a way to deal with that. And the UK where I'm from is like, that's not a way to deal with that. But we're okay over here, and point the finger at anybody who brings COVID in and blame them for bringing down New Zealand and its COVID response. But so COVID happened, and being in health and safety, it's kind of like the finger looks towards you and points towards you to say, right, help us out. We need to get policies, procedures. What do we do? What sort of hand sanitizer do we need? Do we need cleaners on the stair banisters, like at all times, clean banisters and clean buttons? And I mean, I had somebody ask me that. It was like, hey, we need more cleaning of the banisters. I'm like, well, as soon as somebody touches it, it needs cleaning again. Oh yeah. Well, so there was requests like this that were coming in like February, March time, and then obviously we went into March, and over in New Zealand we had a lockdown for 4 weeks. 4 weeks, like it was 6, but there's the 4 weeks which was like level 4, which was like do not leave your home. Yeah, and then 3rd week was like, yeah, we can give you some takeaways, and then and so through that process, it was a lot of long hours. I'd also decided in 2020 that I wanted to start studying as well. Good idea. So I was doing that.
I was going to say that sounds like a lot on your plate. Minus a takeaway because you couldn't have one.
Exactly. So we're having to cook in-house takeaway, which is not as nice. And April, like I was working stupid hours and not getting sleep. It was like working till late at night, whether that was studying, whether that was work, and getting up early, kind of doom scrolling, looking at the negative press, looking at, because we had to collect the data. We had to go, right, what's happening in New Zealand, what's happening around the world, because we were, based across New Zealand, Australia, and Asia. So we had to collect this data, which was very negative looking, and it was just so negative. And as I say, being from the UK, moving to New Zealand, there was always that thing of, I've got that freedom to move around. I can come and go as I please. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, when am I going to see my family again? How are we now having to sort of even make shifts to move away from New Zealand? But at the same time, why would I want to go to the UK, which is massively got huge COVID numbers, and threaten myself and my wife's health and potential baby's health, right? So there was all these things kind of going through.
You should have come to the United States. We had great numbers.
I heard you were doing great with your, was it swallowing a bleach and all that sort of stuff that was recommended?
You know what?
I feel like that was a joke.
I feel like we didn't follow through. We should have made like bleach tablets. I feel like those would have sold really well.
Like when that whole like thing happened, I was like, surely somebody made a meme and it just went viral. And then can you imagine when I was like, oh my goodness, the president actually said that, and people are actually going to do this because
hold on a hot picking second here let me interject for a hot minute. This is not a Trump debate. Surely not, it will never be. But being South African, we've had some curious presidents ourselves. And we had one president before, a couple of presidents before the current president, who had adult relations with a sex worker who happened to have been HIV positive. And he told the nation that it's okay. He had a shower afterwards. He's fine.
I love this. So much. That is so health and safety. It's right. We digress. Okay, so COVID's happening back for you. You're like working crazy ass hours. Not sure when you're going to see your family.
I think there was that. I think there's just the isolation as well, and just the control of things, like focusing on what you can and can't control. I think I was focusing on this, trying to focus on the stuff I couldn't control. And I think that's just like that didn't help at all. As well as trying to focus on what I could control. The work environment, you've just all of a sudden been thrown to work from home. I mean, I was quite fortunate. I'd sort of invested in a desk, so I wasn't working on the kitchen side, and I had a screen. But there's people who in our place were working on like ironing boards and like kitchen surfaces for like months on end, and then after sort of 3 or 4 months, they come to me and go, "Can I get some help with stuff, because I'm working on the kitchen side on this really high stool and my back's really hurting." I'm like, how have you been working? So there's all these things kind of, I think, factors. I was just going and going and going and going and going, and I kind of reached a point where I was writing an email one day, and I was like, I'd written a paragraph, and I looked at the time and I was like, this has taken me 2 hours to get to this point, and I've not done this email. What is going on? Like, it was taking me way too long, and I just didn't feel right. And I was like, and the kind of the bloke thing again, I'll just keep going kind of thing. And then it was this was after about 6, 7, 8 weeks. So we could then go back into the office. So I booked my place in the office for the next day. I was like, just maybe I need some time in the office around people. Got out to people, and one of our kind of peer supporters, our mental health first aiders who was in there, was like, "Oh, hey Gareth." I was like, "Oh, hey." She's like, "Oh, you don't see me yourself?" I was like, "Yeah, I don't know." And so we kind of had a bit of a chat, and she was like, "Oh," and I was thinking about reaching out to somebody, just going to see a counsellor or somebody similar. And she was like, she's kind of pushed me to it, and I was like, "Yeah, you know what? Actually, you're right. I need to do that." And just kind of picked up the phone, went to see a counsellor, and then they were like, "You are on your way, if not already burnt out. You need to ease back right now." And also, I guess the other thing that I was trying to do in that time, it's kind of like this. I was doing LinkedIn Lives. I was just like, I just thought, what a great idea to do some LinkedIn lives, and just get to know people. And here it's called like safety stories, just like get to know people, some of the things that they've gone through. Because like I kind of said in the prelude before this, I love networking with people. So, and that gives me great energy. So that was taken away because of COVID. But yeah, I was kind of doing that, and that was going quite well. And but at the same time, I was just felt myself getting worse and worse. So yeah, just when it got to that, I just went, right, cut everything, call my manager.
Right, so I have a question.
Go for it.
When you said you weren't feeling yourself, can you describe how you were feeling? Like, were you
Some of the
tired all the
symptoms?
time? Yeah, like what symptoms were you experiencing?
I was just very tired, and everything, like, as I said, an email, it would take so much cognitive load to just even try and write an email, to try and focus. I couldn't focus properly on things that well. My mind was just obviously in a state of stress that actually it couldn't really focus on one thing or another. I was just very tired, and things just felt as slow. I guess that's how I kind of describe it. And
did you become irritable at all?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know when I'm
I'm-
like super stressed, like I'd be the first one to throw a punch verbally or physically.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't do that.
With my tiny little hands, with my hamster hands.
Oh,
Can
Hey,
I
look.
actually, you know what? I got stressed out during lockdown and I broke my hand in lockdown
Whoa.
because I threw an adult tantrum.
oh, I did one of those. And I think I did one of those the other day at the park because my phone didn't work, and I wanted to take a picture of my son. And I just, like, it was one of the soft, the soft ground at park. Sometimes it's like bouncy. It's not like.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, that weird, like
Uh,
plasticky, weird, bouncy
rubber,
stuff. It's
yeah.
so weird, but so great.
Yeah, and I was like, phone, you don't work. And just and I'm like, okay, there's people.
Did it
around.
break?
No.
Screen
I
shatter?
no. Because I moved my phone out of the way. I just used my fist to punch the ground. I was like,
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
But that was
wait,
because
hold on. I just want to caveat this with I'm not a crazy person. I actually
too.
had an adult meltdown because I was stressed from work. I was stressed from lockdown. And then my ex-partner, who has no sense of smell, eats onions like apples.
Oh, good
And
lord.
had he-
What? That would make me throw an adult tantrum.
Okay,
just
so what?
for
No.
that
I just want
alone.
to caveat that I'm not totally crazy, and I had to explain the situation to the ER doctor as well. So what happened was they ate this onion like an apple, like, and I'm like, huh? And then
This is great for my bikini diet though, because I'm disgusted. Carry
Okay,
on.
so eats this fucking onion like an apple, and then insists on like talking at me. So my eyes were like watering, and I'm like, huh? And then I was
Oh.
like, please, can you just stop talking? Please, for the love of sweet Jesus,
And
can
you
you just
didn't
stop?
break up with him right
I was
then?
gonna say the morning breath would have just been.
No, we're not even in the
Damn.
morning. This is just like right now. We've eaten a fresh apple like an
Oh.
onion like an apple. Literally, like sitting there like.
Just the birds
And
and,
then
everything.
so we go to bed, and in the room, like,
and then he's like
he's
breathing
still
all
talking
over
to
you.
me, and I'm like, can you just stop breathing? Like, I'm 2 minutes away from
Hey,
smothering you with a
listen.
pillow.
Onion boy.
So I got
just
up and
go
I
die.
was livid. I was so angry. I was just like, just stop talking. Like, you don't understand the smell that is coming from you. It's coming out of your skin.
I was
Like,
gonna
it's
say the
I'm like, this is
dripping out you.
disgusting. So I
It's,
got up
like,
and
permeating.
I slammed the door, but I pulled the door. So when it slammed through the middle of my hand and broke the little bones in my hand. So I stood upstairs
Ooh.
for a second after my meltdown, and my hand swelled up like a balloon, and I was like, whoops.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to explain the onion thing to a doctor or a nurse. How am I going to explain
No,
that? How
But
I
if
came to
you-
this?
Did you actually tell them about the onion?
Yes, I was like, I'm so I don't know what
Which is
like,
the best, because actually, like, if me hearing this story for the first time, I'm like, I get that. I get that. I probably
oh my god,
react
like my
this
eyes
way.
were watering, but
Okay.
That's your true crime podcast coming back in there, Gina. If I just injected this onion with this chemical, which would
Honestly,
then
there
react and
people kill people in crazy fucking ways, I wouldn't, I wouldn't put it past someone to have injected food.
Anyway,
Okay,
sorry.
wait.
We
so
totally
you're-
we
you're-
totally went down a new rabbit hole.
I love this.
Yeah,
It's
so
great.
You're fucking irritable. I have like adult temper tantrums, like I would say
tantrums.
weekly.
Yeah.
Yeah, tantrums. I had a tantrum yesterday because I came down. My daughter's not feeling well. She's kind of sick, and my partner was watching her, and I came down from upstairs, and there was all these coins, like 100 pennies, just like on my marble floor. And there's my partner just sitting on the couch, just watching TV. And I'm like, oh, okay, let me pick up 100 pennies. But then he was doing something else and he knocked over the bowl that I had the 100 pennies in. And I was like, I'm not cleaning that up. So he had to clean it up again. Okay. Anyway,
I could see why that'd be irritable, but at the same time, fun when he does that. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know where we got to.
You were irritable. You're grumpy as fuck. You're hating lockdown. You're like 2 minutes away from falling off a cliff on burnout.
Yeah.
okay.
Exactly.
And so then you talk to the counselor.
Yeah.
You get, okay. So what
I thought
happens then?
What happens then? They just recommended a few sort of, what's the words? I can't even think of the words now. Yeah, tools. Thank you. Tools for my tool belt, which I didn't really have because, if you think about well-being, it's kind of your resources and your challenges. And if you have enough resources to manage the challenges, then you kind of be all right. Okay. But actually at the COVID, huge challenges weighed down. So you needed a lot of resources to manage that. So they gave me a few resources, tools to help with that. One of the things that always sticks with me is that doom scrolling, is the negativity, is I was focusing on all the wrong things. And when you're stressed, you naturally focus more on the negative aspects, right?
Spiral.
We're naturally pessimistic animals. It's keeping us safe. Our ancestors were alive today because they were like, we're going to stay in the cave because it's a bit safer than going with that saber-toothed tiger. So naturally we're pessimistic. But when we're stressed, we become more pessimistic. So actually focusing on good stuff is what I was sort of given as a way to kind of combat that. Obviously taking time off. So I got out of that, literally called my manager straight away, said, look, I need this. Spoke to my lecturer at uni, was like, need this, just give me a week or give me a few extra weeks before I submit that assignment. And so there was a few things like that I kind of did, and that really helped. I think the next day I pretty much went to the beach with the dog, and there was literally me and the dog, and there was this huge expanse of a beach down at Muriwai beach, which is kind of West Auckland, and it was like drizzling a little bit, and it was just glorious. I always remember that day because it was just so like there's nothing in my life. It was just me and the dog and this beach. So it was bloody beautiful. But actually this diary, so every day I wrote down 4 or 5 things actually that were positive in my life. And I'd had interactions with Nicola and Gina. I wrote that down in my diary. That was really good, rather than focusing on that thing that happens at 4:30 on a Friday when it's a bit negative and you get a bit of back feedback, or you look at something negative and that sticks with you going through into that evening, into the weekend, or whatever, into the next day. So actually focusing on those good things, and at the end of the week actually having a bit of a review of those things and just reinforcing those positive things, that really helped. Obviously the support of managers was really crucial as well. They were kind of, right, okay, let's take workload, let's spread it around the team. What don't you need to do, kind of thing. So actually just putting a hand up was really crucial at that moment for me, really.
So you felt strongly supported by your workplace. They came in and they really gave you the time and space that you needed to feel well again after burnout?
Yeah, I think there was that. I think actually one of the aspects of, I'm quite competitive a little bit. So one of the aspects of the whole thing that happened was my boss was working long hours, and I felt like kind of guilty that they were having to work long hours and I should be doing something and working alongside them. So there was kind of that thing that if, we're all high performers at this business, but actually they might prefer to work into the evening, whereas that's not really my, bag, kind of thing. So actually understanding what they're about, but obviously I was just getting up early, working through to late because they were online, and I had to make sure that we had got this stuff done, even though work is always going to be there every day. So, but they were great and supported me. I took a couple of days off. That's what I needed. And then we also had a kind of a break to look forward to in New Zealand, because we could holiday in New Zealand to move around, because, you know, we didn't have COVID. So that was glorious.
We did go for a pretty long time without COVID. It was quite the feat. That was a good time. I feel like we were all excited about that time. And then it just, yeah.
I think it was good because we compared and we were like, haha, we're good and we're living a normal life. And then
next minute,
then it kind of switched, and like we saw then Europe and America having a whale of a time, and we're like, we're still in lockdown. Like, was it 2021? Yeah, 2021.
Because it was August. It was August 21, and then you guys also had so in our different regions, Gina, we Auckland was hit harder with COVID, and we say harder now when there was only like 120 cases at a time.
Nothing.
Which is like they were hit the hardest with their 2 cases, and we had like 0 and they had 2. So they shut us down by region. And at a time, you know, they would go up to like a level 4, which was total shutdown, and then we would be at a level 3 or a 2, which means we could still move around. So Auckland was stuck, like literally the whole like area was like shut down. And then the rest of the country was like, woo!
And we're like,
it was horrible.
Let us out. Yeah, it was not.
It was really horrible. I think, you know, in hindsight, I think some of those did go on a little longer than they should have, because now we're in this kind of weird place where no one gives a shit.
And I got a bit of an insight to that, because I went back to as soon as the borders opened, I was like, right, to my wife, because obviously at that point we had a 10-month-old and my mate was getting married in the UK. So I was like, right, we are going back to the UK. We're going to spend a month. This was just before I moved to Air New Zealand, and it was really surreal, obviously going from New Zealand, where we were at that point really paranoid, like wear a mask, you know, sanitize our hands every 10 seconds, like that sort of thing, to then going to the UK where they'd lived with this for 2 years, and it was just like, what are you doing wearing a mask? And then I remember the first that we got to the UK and we're in a supermarket, and I'm like, I'm not going to wear a mask in here. I'm not going to wear a mask. And Kirsty, my wife, was like, what are you doing? No, put a mask on. You could get COVID at any point. And I was just like, no, I'm going to do it. And walked around and I was like, oh, the thrill.
Did you get COVID?
No, I didn't in the UK. I actually got it when I was back here. So
yeah, same. I also got it back. We'd been overseas for a vacation to Raro, and then got back and got slammed with COVID.
Yeah. So
do you think you picked it up on your trip overseas?
No, it was. I'm going to say it was probably the airport that we got it at.
Oh,
Thanks,
okay.
Air New Zealand.
Yeah. Sorry about that. At least you got your holiday. That's the main thing.
Remember, I was like eating this delicious chocolate ice cream, and I was like, why doesn't this taste very good? And it was like, and then I was like, oh shit, because I can't taste anything. Like, yeah.
You would have loved your onion apple.
Yeah.
I would have loved it. That would have been the time to explore my onion apple fetish, which I don't have. Okay, so
just honestly,
have you
thinking
ever
about it, like I get messed up thinking about it.
No, this is.
I would as well. There's
PTSD
PTSD going on right here.
Yeah, this is a good tool for me, Nicola.
You should do like chocolate apples, but then put one of them in like chocolate onion, and then get people to like. Look at the draw.
Gareth,
Look at the.
What fucked up shit is that?
I feel like.
I mean, I like it because it's kind of sinister. So.
Yeah, so you don't know which one is the apple, but you just. It's the look of the draw.
But Nicola, thank you for giving me this thing to replay in my head when I'm really hungry and I can't eat, or I've eaten all my calories for the day. Thank you.
Can we just pause here for a second and remind people that if this podcast is something you enjoy, we would love to hear from you.
You can find us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube at Let's Break Up Toxic Workplace Stories.
Sharing and subscribing really helps us feel validated.
Situations, Gareth, where, you didn't feel supported by management or your team, like did you ever at any point in time in your career?
That's a hard one to pluck out of the back of my brain. I guess sometimes I like my background is before health and safety. I used to work in kind of geotechnical environments and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always on site, So you'd always be out and about and amongst, workers doing some drilling, or excavators kind of taking soil samples. So I have a real appreciation for those people who do that work, do the hard mahi, as they'd say in New Zealand, the hard work. So that was always really difficult. So I have a real appreciation for those people, especially in New Zealand right now, in our ops space, which is kind of at the airport, who kind of are doing such hard work. But back then, when I was doing that kind of site-based work, it was really difficult to get your manager to, like, when things were going wrong on site or you needed support, it was always very difficult because they couldn't understand or comprehend around what was going on. And then when you kind of get back into the office, my English it's always weird being from England, that you kind of expect to have good English or good writing or good grammar. I've always been a C grade student when it comes to English. And I get back into the office and they would sort of say, oh, your report writing needs work, but never really
give direction,
or actually go, or even go, you know what, actually, maybe report writing isn't for you. Let's get you some other work and actually put you into here, because actually what you do on site and what you do here is really good. So it's actually understanding about where your people's strengths are. And it was only really when I came to New Zealand and I was actually given some good managers and some good people who kind of understood where my strengths lie, that actually then I was able to kind of grow in confidence a bit. I think I came to New Zealand not that confident, if you know what I mean, in the sense that I was doubting my abilities in what I can do. But actually, when you then get put into the right environment where you are supported and given the right opportunities, rather than putting you into something that you're going to fail at, and then you're like, oh well, I've just failed at that again, I'm rubbish, I'm useless, and that negative self-talk which starts, which at that moment in time when I was in the UK, I wasn't given that. So you always think that you're not doing a good job, if you know what I mean.
I absolutely know what you mean.
So, and I think somebody always said it, it's like, we always, and this is the whole thing around health and safety and well-being to an extent, we always go to the blame the worker, and actually it's not, it's about the environment that person is. I always use the analogy of the if you grow in plants, right, and the plant doesn't grow, you don't go and shout at the plant, you actually go, right, well, let's understand the is it watered enough? Is it too hot outside? Is it the soil right? All these factors, are they good, right? Because we should all be able to thrive at work, but we're not all of the same ilk. If we try and get an elephant to climb a tree, it's going to fail. But an elephant is good for one thing or another, but it's not good for climbing trees. So actually, where are its strengths? What can we use it for? So it's looking at people like that rather than just sort of going, hey, you applied for this job, so you're going to get put into there, because actually that might not be working for that person. And also, as I say, the environment that is being built around the people, right? So I've done a lot of work.
Don't you think that's kind of a really nice analogy for a toxic workplace? Because it's like, okay, we're not actually looking at other factors. We're just saying you suck at this part of your job, or you suck at your job, but keep doing it.
Well,
keep sucking.
Yeah.
And like, we're okay with your level of suck, but we're going to remind you that you still suck. Like every so often,
Yeah. I mean, it was never like got to performance manager or anything. It was just like you didn't have a manager who kind of put you into those right opportunities. So I don't think they were bad. I just don't know whether they were the right manager. And I think a lot of the time in that kind of field, there's a lot of technical expertise. So kind of what happens is people move through the ranks because they're good at that technical aspects, and you move up and up and up, and then actually you then get responsibilities for people, and actually they don't understand the people as well as they, there's strengths with people and there's strengths with technical. And what was happening is they would kind of ended up doing both, which actually it should be separate, and they should have people,
because not everyone's a good manager, but they might be a great report writer,
Exactly. Yeah, to come back to report writing, which I'm not.
But what I think is really interesting is, like, it sounds to me like in New Zealand and possibly even in the UK, there is that the willingness to work with an employee to say, like, you're a good employee, but let's figure out where you can shine your best. And in America, it is very rare. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It takes a very, very good, confident, smart person to manage and say, like, either A, let's help you, like in your case with the report writing, or hey, you're good at all this other stuff. Let's give this to this expert report writer. Like, because I feel like in America, we're so capitalistic that it's just like, okay, if you're not benefiting the company to the way we want you to, we'll find someone who can. So fuck off, kind of thing.
Like our contact center. So our contact center, that's kind of a bit of my baby. It's kind of in the sense that I came to Air New Zealand and heard and saw the stories in the news of our contact center people, because people were just ripping into them. Look, flights been cancelled. There's all this COVID. There's bags being lost, and they were just getting ripped into. And they've had years of this, of people just not treating them as human beings, venting. And and it doesn't help that you've been online, on hold for 2 to 3 hours. But it's okay. How can we? When I came in, it's like, okay, well, it's not their fault if we're getting people leaving. It's actually, we need to do better and protect them from all that stuff that's coming through. And actually, can we help them to, be able to deal with these conversations? Can we give them the right controls in the sense of, if this conversation goes south, can we just say, give them the power to be able to say, put the phone down? Because a lot of people don't. They just they take it and then go, right, okay,
let me help you.
Let me help you now. Which actually, no, this shouldn't be the thing. So,
you know what, I want to give kudos actually to Air New Zealand, because I know there's been a lot of stuff in the news around Greg showing up for his employees, right? So the CEO or chief executive, he hops on the plane and he helps the air stewards hand out food and drinks because there's not enough of them, or he shows up at the check-in counters because there's not enough people, or he shows up at the call center because there's not enough people. I
was at back our house, and just before Christmas, where all the baggage was coming in, and that's from baggage that was actually kind of lost by other. I don't want to back up the airlines. It's kind of lost by other airlines, and they know that people were coming to New Zealand. So then we have to kind of handle it and kind of distribute it. And we're just, ferrying away, trying to get bags out to people. And in pops Greg, he's like, are you going all right? And I'm like, this is what it is. He's like, I know, just keep working, kind of thing. So, and then you see in the press, it's like, Greg's just doing this for a kind of a PR photo shoot. It's not. He's I was in training this morning with for our ops center, who have been trained by one of our health and safety professionals, and he was saying that Greg will come on a Saturday or a Sunday. He will come round and he wants to hear the truth. He doesn't want to hear from the exec or the people below him. He wants to hear what is happening right at the coalface and go. And that's how things have changed pretty quickly, because once he knows that shit's going wrong, he's like, right, let's fix it.
What's really good about that is it really demonstrates strong leadership, and that he's not just there to manage a business. He's there to understand and empathize and really deliver a solid message of solidarity, of that kind of awareness of what is happening with staff.
The first group of people that I kind of went to when I got into this role last year, and went to try and understand their work and listen to their stories, it was just mind-blowing, some of the stuff that they have to deal with. And she's just like, well, what training have you had? What this have you got? What that have you got? Why do you do this? And they're like, oh, because that's how we've always done it. That's what we've been told to do. You're like, okay, well, that's not right. What systems do you have in place? And they're talking about this. So it's then understanding and going, right, well, if we can put these layers, these controls in place to stop people getting to that point where they are raging and calling them everything under the sun, that's kind of the goal, really. And even just, I think a lot of things around contact center as well, and call centers, is very much, there's a lot of attrition. They go through a lot of people because obviously they're having to deal with a lot of crap, and actually going, hey, can we actually make this a career? And one of the things we're doing at the moment is actually providing some like level training and courses that they can go on, to the routes that they can take through that. So actually see a career path into this, that actually this is something for the long term, rather than just necessarily going through like Gina, you said in America, they kind of just churn through and go up, next person. And actually, so much money is wasted doing that. It's such a waste of money. It's not sustainable. We talk with these companies talk about sustainability, but your mind goes to, oh yeah, we need to be greener and not have much plastic waste. But actually, it's about people, man.
It is about people, and it's about how companies are run, not just from an environmental standpoint. I remember where Nicola and I met. I came into this like basic, Nicola called it a dumpster fire, which it absolutely was. And I was just like, how is this company even running, even getting inventory the way that they are? It's not sustainable. And when I said that, I was like, oh, like now I get why companies talk about sustainability on more than like, it's not just the environmental sustainability, which of course a lot of companies are trying to make, inroads there, but it's like the sustainability of a business. Will it last for another 2 years and on? How do we sustain our good employees? Of course, I'm sure some of the call center employees were just not good, but it happens, in every industry. So, I mean, now it makes me feel bad for any call center person I ever gave a little attitude.
Oh, you know what?
No, but like, so what are some of the things that you're trying to change? Like, can you give us an example of something you're either implementing or have implemented that you're hoping to make the call center employees feel better?
One thing that I want to change, which is not going to change overnight, is call center people. They are monitored all day, every day while they're online. So if you just got a call and somebody said, call you everything under the sun, or like during COVID, somebody was like, I'm going to kill myself. Basically, to get into New Zealand, you needed like a voucher from to get into MIQ, which was like a quarantine, and you then had to stay there for two weeks. And people were that desperate, they were just calling up and saying, give me flights. And obviously the first thing that they would ask is go, I need your voucher from MIQ. And people go, I don't have it. My partner or my family, I need to get
a whole hot mess, and
it was horrible. There's only certain numbers of people, and so people were going, I'm going to kill myself right now, and that sort of thing. And phone goes down, and then all that are people, I'm sure this is very similar for a lot of contact centers, is they get a 5-minute micro break. You get 5 minutes to process that, and then you have to go on to the next call, who you don't know who you're going to get. You don't know how angry they're going to be, what's going to happen. Nobody that I know of in New Zealand or in places that I've worked has been scrutinized in terms of, down to the minutes of what you're doing in terms of productivity and everything else. I don't know if you've worked in places like that, but that's tough. That's really tough to be controlled and monitored all the time.
It's like Big Brother's watching you. And I mean,
one of the things I want to try and do is go, can we start to take off some of these layers of monitoring and just try it out? Because the whole thing is the trust piece. When we first had to move and work from home in COVID, the workplace had to trust people and go, you're going to get the work done, and they did. And it's the same thing here, is to kind of go, let's build up that trust to maybe try
work is done versus work is imagined, right? We're imagining that they're doing this certain thing, but it's really just damaging their capacity for independence.
Well, it reminds me of the episode of The Office where Michael isn't around for like a couple of days, and Jim's commentary is like, it's crazy that actually adults come in and do their work and leave on time every day without Michael being around. So it's like
exactly.
Like, who knew we could do that?
Making sure that there's a process. So when people do start kicking off, what's your process? Oh, well, I kind of made this up and learned through my interactions that I had to do this. Okay, well, actually, what is best practice? So then using, some process and tools to go, these are the 3 steps you need to take if things start kicking off. So then actually giving them giving them some tools to put in place.
I mean, I can't imagine like how I would feel if someone was like screaming at me and then saying I'm going to kill myself and then hanging up. The psychological damage. I mean,
exactly.
I don't know.
Think that this person is, that's the whole thing with call center. You think that person is there for you, but they've dealt with 5, 6 other
20
people
million people before you.
So I like you. It's hard when you're trying to get things solved and you're like, God, I don't want to be put on hold again, or I don't want to be put through to a manager. I just want you to solve this. But yeah, it's having an understanding and appreciation for, you know, what they're going through and what they have been through. And like you say, they get 5 minutes maximum to go
That's
between calls.
insanity.
But
Insanity to me.
that's normal. So yeah, that trying to change that whole system approach, and even have it where, I don't know if we've got it at the moment, this is what I'm catching up tomorrow, is where I know they do it at Spark, which is like a telecom provider in New Zealand.
It's essentially like ATT.
Yeah, thank you. I was trying to think of a US based company. And they have a
Why
little
I'm
thing.
here for the translating.
Thank you, Nicola. So yeah, what you can do is you can like book a time slot to call somebody, because actually what's happening at the moment is people are, especially during floods, cyclones, and COVID and everything else, it's taking 2+ hours to get through, and people don't have 2-3 hours. So actually booking a time, and then you can put a little description in and get them to call you back. And actually, we do have a callback service, but actually, so you know, an hour of a time where you can get a callback, and you're going to be a bit calmer, and you're going to be a little bit more responsive, because actually, I know in between the hours of 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. I'm going to get a call, and then answer that call and hopefully get myself, you know, dealt with.
I would love that
Yeah.
for the current place that I
love
keep calling
that.
every 20 minutes, and then I'm on hold for 4 hours.
Yeah.
I actually have to book out part of my day to be on hold, because I can't take meetings because I'm on hold for 4 hours.
And then you get into the point where you get into the end of that 4 hours and you think, well, I hope they answer the phone soon, because I've got to pick the kids up, I've got to go and do this, I've got to do that.
Exactly. And I'm like, please stop
stress
torturing
levels
me
is
with
going
this.
up and up. Yeah.
And then sometimes the phone will cut out because the influx of calls are just too many. So they shut down their call-in system.
Recently, after I resigned, I got fired from where Nicola and I met. I was on unemployment, and I had to call to talk to a representative about something. And literally it was like, the recording was basically, we're super busy. Try again some other time. Dial tone. And I was like, what? I was like, okay.
At least they're honest.
Yeah, like it was like New York State though. So I was like, all right, New York State, I feel you. Like,
okay, so I think as we kind of wrap up, is there anything that you would like to share as some really proactive approaches to dealing with burnout, or ways that we could potentially allow leaders to be more aware and supportive of how to kind of navigate through that process?
I think it's just understanding the individual as a whole, in the sense, you know, I say you've got to understand everybody's different. Everybody's got their own strengths, their own weaknesses, and understanding those, and, you know, having those regular communications with your people to understand that, whether that's through as a health and safety practitioner, whether that's through a manager, whether it's they're even just worker to worker. Actually understanding people, understanding that context is so important. Like with what we talked about, our CEO Greg is just getting out and understanding, and that's the only way you can really do it. You can't do it from sitting in an office. And I've attended many health and safety conferences in New Zealand where it's like, oh, you got to go and talk to the workers, and workers imagine workers done. And I'm like, yeah, okay, get out. But actually, yeah, just going and being in their shoes for a day. One of the other things I did before Christmas, I did some volunteering at the airport, pushing around people in wheelchairs, because there's a lot of people who need to, you know, get sort of special assistance to get from the aircraft to the terminal and all that sort of stuff. Again, a really great experience to go, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And looking at it from those psychosocial risk factors, and why are you working 12 hours a day for, we're short staffed. Okay, well, let's look at other elements. You know, what's your workload and work pace? Can we look at changing that? Can we sort of roster you on to make sure there's a good breaks between those sort of things? Are just invaluable if you're allowed. No, you don't want to sort of go in and start mucking things up, but you want to sort of go in there and get appreciation of the work, and actually how hard or how easy or how challenging it is for those people. So that for me is where you can really, the rubber can kind of hit the road when it comes to helping with you know, burnout or stress or impacts to mental health in the workplace. Really, you know, take time to think. Actually, there's things just going hitting at you fast. There's workload is huge. Like when you're stressed and overloaded, like you're not taking time to go, okay, how does this fit into the strategy? How does this sort of go into play? You know, you're not thinking like, you're just thinking, get me to the next thing, get me to the next thing, get me home.
Put out the fire. Yeah. I think one of the things that has become what we're hearing in speaking to so many different people from so many different places in various industries is the power of pausing.
Yeah.
That's something that I think if you can master that, or just strengthen that muscle, it will be very beneficial for you and your career.
Physical well-being sense, you
Mhm.
can't just keep running marathons. You're going to need that break, and it's the same thing with, to an extent, with our mental health. You need those times, those rest breaks for your brain to go to literally steam, and then you can go again. But I think, with like burnout, you just going and going and going and going and going, and then you hit a wall. So like you say, whether it's pauses or whether it's breaks, and having those tools, that's vital for this. You need those tools and those resources in your back pocket to be able to pull out, to manage those when times are tough and challenges, and when you're needed to work 12 hours a day for 5 days, 7 days plus, right? So that's when you need those tools, and to know that, okay, for this short amount of time, I'm gonna work bloody hard, but actually at the end of that, I'm then going to take, a day, I'm going to do things for me and focus on me and my family and that sort of thing. So
all right, well, I have really enjoyed getting to know you,
it's been an
and
absolute pleasure. I've loved it.
and I love our chocolate covered onion idea.
I feel like that's the title of the podcast.
I feel like that's the biggest takeaway from this. No, I'm kidding. But no, it was just really interesting to get to know, what you do. To my knowledge, we don't have that level of support here in America. I'm sure in some companies they do, but nowhere I've been. So it's very progressive, and I'm learning so much. I was just telling Nicola before, I was like, I've learned so much, how like so many cool things about different areas, different industries, and taking those suggestions and trying to be a better manager myself. So thank you for adding to that. Nicola, do you have anything else to say?
No, I think you pretty much summed it up really nicely. And, I appreciate, Gareth, I appreciate you taking your time, because I know we're in, health and safety space people. We're in a busy time at the moment. We've got a lot of fires to put out at the moment, a lot of cyclone issues to deal with. So I really appreciate you taking the time out to chat with us. It's, I know time is valuable, so I really appreciate it.
No worries. I loved it. I think it's been a right hoot. And just to use that sort of chocolate apple onion thing, you don't know what's underneath. So it's actually understanding the context, maybe digging a little bit to find out what is going on, whether it's your people or whether it's your systems. So boom.
I just want to point out, I hate both of you now. And I swear to God, if an onion, a chocolate coated onion shows up at my door,
I honestly am too lazy to figure out how to coat an onion with chocolate, so it won't be me. Yeah,
I will come for you.
I don't have enough time, and I'm too lazy. And the idea of even trying to ship that to New Zealand is not worth my.
I think I'd just rather just put onions at your door, to be honest, and go from there.
I don't know if you guys have like Uber Eats or Instacart. I'll like Instacart.
We don't have Instacart. We have Uber Eats, but yeah.
Okay, so I'll Uber Eats you like a bunch of like a satchel of onions.
I'm gonna come over there and punch you in the side of the boob. This is great chat. Yeah. But thank you, Gareth. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, I've really, as I say, I didn't know what to expect with this, so it's really, really fun and really good to really meet you and chat with you and just chew the fat on these sort of topics.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. I think we should absolutely keep the chocolate covered onion thread.
It would just be weird if it just appeared at the end randomly.
Yeah, we have to keep the whole thread all the way through, because we were talking about tantrums. So it makes sense. Like Burnout having a tantrum, it totally makes sense. Don't give me that fucking face, Nicola.
I hate you both.
But then you can use your creative magic and be like,
I'm going to ask AI to design me a chocolate onion.
Ooh.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to go do some work now.
Ditto.
See you later.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Catch you guys later. Bye. And thanks again. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today. If you would like to share your story, we would love to hear from you.
Also, leaving a review helps us create more content because it shows us there's an interest in this topic.
For those of our listeners who do better with reading, we have closed caption available on YouTube.
See you next week, same time and same place.